Hello, I'm Pastor Nick Hood. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll be starting worship in just a moment, and I want to share with you what I'm preaching about today. My sermon is entitled, Don't Lose Your Cool. Think about that. Don't lose your cool. When I was a little boy growing up on the west side of Detroit, my friends and I were just consumed with being cool. And if you're cool, you got a way of walking. And the one hand goes behind the back, the other hand goes out, and then sometimes, the kids, the boys in particular, I didn't really see girls too much doing this, but you'd really dip, go down and come up, and as you were doing this, you were quote unquote being cool. And I've been thinking about a lot about that this week because I have so many little projects that are underway, and it's dawned on me that I cannot accomplish my goals without the help of somebody else. And, you delegate to a carpenter, you delegate to an electrician, you delegate to this person or that to do that or this to help you. And the more I do that, the more I realize that I am dependent on all these other people. I am dependent. And, if a person lets you down, they don't call you back, they don't finish what they said they were going to do in time, on the timeline that you thought they were, then, you could become angry. You could really blow your stack. And I keep all week long, I've been hearing a little voice saying, Nick, don't lose your cool. Don't lose your cool. Don't be a fool. Don't lose your cool. And I've been asking myself, what does the Bible have to say about keeping your cool? When John 14, the night before Jesus is crucified at the Last Supper, Jesus is talking to the disciples, and he tells them, my peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, give I, saith the Lord. And what Jesus is saying here is that you and I can benefit from the peace of God. We can benefit from this. And how do we gain the peace of God? The peace of God teaches us not to get mad, but get smart. The peace of God teaches us the value of planning, preparation, so that you could have a good performance. The peace of God tells us don't get overwhelmed with anger and bitterness. Don't focus on trying to get even with somebody, but try to figure out how can I advance above all of this. A few years ago, we had one of our members of the church to die, a guy named Clarence White. And Clarence White was kind of like a little brother to my father. And when we were building the church back in 1974, it was Mr. White who used his contractor's license, and he became the general contractor for the church. And this was an effort to save the church money. But it's a beautiful church, the Plymouth United Church of Christ, Detroit. It's a beautiful church, poured concrete. We've at one point in renovating the church, we ripped up the flooring to see the baseline, and I was amazed that the concrete under the tile that we had in the church is without blemish. It's without crack. It was beautiful. It settled perfectly. And years later, about 10 years ago, the church embarked upon a renovation, a $1.1 million renovation. And it was interesting to me that Clarence White, the same guy who was the contractor for the building of the church, was still alive. He was getting up in years. But I would sit with him and a small team of people every week, and we would sit down with the contractor, with the architect, and we would roll out on a big table the designs and for the renovation. And I'm still totally fascinated that the contractors, the engineers and such, along with us representing, me and my team representing the owner of the building, that we could look at sheet after sheet of big papers of architectural designs that specified in minute detail what was supposed to go where. And at one point, I remember asking Mr. White, Clarence White, I said, Clarence, I find it fascinating that all of these different contractors, everybody from the carpenters, the electricians, the plumbers, the masonry people, that everybody's looking at this same architectural design, and the finished product looks the way it's supposed to be. And he reminded me, he said, Nick, he said, it's all about planning. He said, and if you plan in a proper way, you will avoid having a poor performance. And I think about that today when I talk about don't lose your cool. Clarence was cool through that whole process. So we're talking about $1.1 million. And he was cool as a cucumber because he had confidence in the plan. Now, how does that relate to what I'm talking about? I think that, and what I'm preaching about today, is that Jesus Christ came to earth, yes, to prepare us for death and eternal life, but he also came to earth to prepare us for life right now. And part of that blessing of life right now is, how do you attain inner peace? How do you attain a perfect peace? So that's what I'm preaching about, and we'll be preaching about in a few moments. I want you to go ahead, pick up your telephone, call a friend, tell them Nick Hood is on the line. Worship is about to begin. God bless, God keep you, and remember, I am praying for you.